It's not just what we saw in the Oval Office. I mean, that with what we just learned in the last few moments that Marjorie Taylor Greene is out. I mean, if I told you a year ago that Trump and Zohran Mamdani would be like this and Marjorie Taylor Greene would be leaving Congress because of President Trump, you
have shared my gin and tonic.
Would have told me I was drinking.
Look, it's great to be with you all because of our shared love and affection, to quote the mayor-elect of the world turned upside down. It's amazing. It's remarkable breaking news. Look, we have lived in an age of political disruption, really since the election of Obama, but especially since Trump and the MAGA movement came along. So on the one hand, we shouldn't be surprised by disruption and disaffection and things changing, and there's no real political parties have no real center anymore. I don't mean center in the middle of the electorate. I mean they don't have any core because Trump has redefined the Republican Party. The Democratic Party's in a search and who are we mission right now. But this is still mind-blowing in the sense, let's start with Marjorie Taylor Greene. My biggest question is, what next? She just broke with the president on the Epstein files and won. She says he is tone deaf on these affordability issues, and guess what? She's right. Maybe the president had a shift today with the mayor-elect of New York, but up until this point, that's why his approval ratings are in the tank. So she has said up to today that she was not going to run statewide in Georgia. You know, people roll their eyes and they laugh and they say, well, when I say, well, maybe she's going to run for president. But again, Donald Trump could never win the Republican nomination in 2016, and then he could never beat Hillary Clinton, of course, and he could never be president again after January 6th. Barack Obama's not going to be president of the United States. That's never going to happen. That's what they said then. Mamdani can't beat Cuomo and be the mayor of New York City. So we live in the age of improbable stories in our politics because the ground beneath everybody is shifting so much. I don't know what she's going to do next. I do know one thing. Number one, she's not going to stay quiet. You know her. That's who she is. So what she decides. And number two, this is a granular Washington issue. Speaker Johnson has less than one-hand majority. When she goes away, right? When she goes away in January, that's another -1. I think it leaves them with +2 or +3. They don't get too much done heading into the midterm year anyway, but that's hard.
To John's point about her not staying quiet, I mean, she released a 10-minute video explaining this. And in part of it, she says, loyalty should be a two-way street, and that we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. And America first should mean America first and only Americans first. And then she wrote this, and this is, I mean, she is directly calling out President Trump. She says, standing up for American women who were raped at 14, obviously they would be girls, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
We are starting, in my opinion, to see the real world consequences of what we're seeing in the polling. That is cracks, actual cracks in Trump's Republican support. His net approval rating amongst Republicans is down over 20 points since January. We are seeing a president who had for months tried to ensure that the Epstein files were not going to be released, despite the fact that his approval rating on the Epstein files was south of 50%, despite the fact that the vast majority of Republicans wanted those Epstein files released. And more than that, what you saw was Marjorie Taylor Greene playing a little bit of political punditry, right? Saying that the Republican Party is likely to lose the House of Representatives come 2026. That, of course, is what we see in all the polling data as well. This, in my opinion, has been the 10 worst days of polling that Donald Trump has had throughout his entire second term. And Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning and stating what she did, in my mind, sort of puts the capstone on it, and also puts the capstone on a day in which the President of the United States met with Zohran Mamdani and that love fest. To quote the movie Tootsie, this is one nutty hospital.
Jamal, I want to know what Democrats are thinking about this nutty hospital, as Harry so lovingly puts it. But we have David Urban here. David, I mean, I've been talking to a few Republicans tonight in the last 30 minutes since this got announced. They are genuinely stunned by this news from Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Caitlin, I listened and watched the full 10 minutes right before I sat down because, like you, it's hard to wrap your head around it. You know, John gets it right, and everyone knows this. You know, this is an administration that superlatives, unprecedented this, This is truly an unprecedented day where his biggest supporter by far, I mean, I can't imagine anyone who's taken more heat for Donald Trump since she's been in office than Marjorie Taylor Greene, to her own detriment, has been, categorized as crazy, nut job, etc. Today, yet, she is castigated, thrown aside as a traitor. And as you correctly pointed out, he's embracing, Zohran Mamdani, a Democratic socialist mayor of the city of New York, like they're fraternity brothers. I mean, it's crazy. And some of her verbiage is incredibly biting. She's not going to sit around like a battered wife and defend the president when impeachment comes in a few months. I mean, it is some pretty vitriolic language on her part. And, if you're the president, if you're Speaker Johnson, you can't be feeling too good tonight as you go to bed.
Yeah, David, I mean, her likening herself to a